Let me ask you something. How do you start your day? Because that answer is more important than you think. See, every single morning when your eyes open, you are either stepping into distraction or stepping into design. A morning routine isn't just a habit. It's the studio where your creativity wakes up. And if you want to live a life of artistry, it starts before the world makes a sound. Most people are chasing inspiration. They hope ideas will magically appear when they wake up. That somehow creativity will just spark out of nowhere. But I've got news for you. Inspiration is a trickster. Inspiration will whisper, scroll a little longer. Flow will declare, create now. A morning routine isn't about what feels easy. It's about what unlocks your gift. Flow is what builds masterpieces. And your routine is the workshop where that flow is forged. Here's the truth. You either direct your imagination or the noise of the day will direct it for you. Creativity doesn't wait. The moment you open your phone, dive into emails, or scroll through someone else's art, you've already muted your own. That first hour of your day is sacred. It's the only part of the day fully yours. And if you don't claim it with clarity and purpose, you'll spend the rest of your time reacting instead of creating. Now listen, routines aren't restrictive. They're rhythmic. There's a rhythm to creativity. There's a cadence to genius. People look at artists and think they're lucky or gifted. No, they've just mastered their rhythm. They do the same inspiring practices at the same powerful time with the same focused energy until their ideas begin to sing. Your morning routine is the composer's baton. It sets the tempo for the symphony of your day. And you've got to touch 3 dimensions every single morning: mindset, movement, and making. Start with your mind. Get quiet. Get grateful. Get intentional. Feed your imagination. Visualize the work you want to bring to life. Then move. Breathe. Stretch. Dance. Shake the stiffness out so your ideas can flow free. And finally, make something. Sketch, write, play, record. Build your edge. Expand your craft. The world rewards those who multiply their creativity, not those who bury it under distraction. Because here's the law of creativity. What you repeat, you become. If you repeat hesitation, you become blocked. If you repeat creation, you become unstoppable. That routine of yours is not just a checklist. It's a mirror of your creative identity. Every page written, every brush stroke, every early morning sketch, it's shaping who you are. And identity is stronger than mood. Once you believe you're a consistent, inspired, creative person, you won't need to push yourself anymore. You'll just live it. So I'm not asking you to try a morning routine. I'm challenging you to claim your creativity back, to draw a line in the sand and say, this is where the old me ends and the new me begins. Not someday, not when it's convenient, but tomorrow morning, before the world wakes up, before the messages ping, while it's still quiet enough to hear your muse whispering ideas. You want to create work that matters? Start early. Start intentional. Start now. Because your morning isn't just the beginning of a day. It's the canvas of your destiny. Mornings are not just another tick of the clock. They are sacred opportunities. They are the artist's covenant with the future. A promise that you're not going to drift, that you're not going to leave your creativity waiting. Every morning is a doorway, and the way you walk through it paints the story of what follows. When you wake up with purpose, with imagination, With practice, you're making a declaration to your future self. I'm building you. This isn't about checking tasks. It's about alignment. It's about showing your future that you're serious about your art. You can't want a masterpiece life and give it a careless morning. The gap between where you are and where you dream to be is bridged by consistency. And that bridge is laid down with every sunrise. When you choose to wake up and shape those early hours, you're planting seeds. Seeds of imagination, seeds of vision, seeds of creation. The reason why most people never unlock their potential is because they think inspiration will meet them halfway. It won't. Creativity is reserved for those who prepare for it, and preparation starts in the morning. That first hour is not just time, it's a canvas. And every time you use it wisely, you're painting strokes toward the masterpiece of your dreams. You're not just preparing for the day. You're preparing for the art you were born to make. If you look at anyone who has created lasting impact, timeless work, they all have one thing in common. They don't leave their mornings to chance. They understand that the morning is where artists are made. It's where ideas are nurtured, where voices are found, where visions are renewed. You can't live a creative life on a chaotic morning. You can't expect long-term brilliance from short-term distraction. That when you rise early, when you get centered, when you decide to invest in your mind, your body, your craft before the world starts demanding your attention, that is an artistic act. That is you saying, I honor my gift too much to neglect it. That is you saying, I love my future work too much to be careless with my present hours. Mornings are not just about productivity. They are about identity. Who you choose to be in the morning becomes who you are when deadlines loom, when life gets noisy, when the pressure rises. And if you've grounded yourself early, if you've spoken to your creativity, fueled your spirit, moved your body, then when blocks come, you won't stall, you'll flow. That's why the morning is sacred. It's not just the beginning of a day, it's the proving ground of your imagination. It's where masterpieces begin. Inspiration is a spark, but routine is the fire that keeps burning long after the spark fades. Too many people wait to feel creative. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect space, the perfect surge of genius. But creativity doesn't come to those who wait on feelings. It comes to those who move through feelings with practice. Because inspiration might visit once, but only consistency will keep you going day after day. When the muse is quiet, when no one is watching, when results aren't visible yet. Consistency is a decision. It's a daily choice to show up to the canvas, to the page, to the instrument, regardless of circumstances. It's what separates hobbyists from masters. See, inspiration is emotional. It fluctuates. You might be excited on Sunday night with a flood of ideas, ready to create your best work. But what happens Monday morning when your bed feels warmer than your ambition? That's when consistency steps in. Consistency says, show up anyway. Consistency doesn't negotiate with procrastination. It doesn't care how you feel. It only cares whether you create. And here's a truth most won't tell you. You won't always feel like making art. In fact, the bigger your vision, the more resistance you'll face. But consistency builds strength. Every time you create without waiting for inspiration, you train your mind to lead your hands. You're telling yourself, I'm in control. My vision is stronger than my moods. That's where mastery is built. In the silence, in the scribbles, in the repetition. Not when it's easy, but when it's necessary. The problem is, people overvalue hype and undervalue habits. But the creator who works when they don't feel like it will always outproduce the one who waits for the perfect spark. Because consistency compounds. It builds trust with yourself. You begin to believe in your ability to follow through. And when you trust yourself, you move with a different kind of confidence. Not false hype, but real inner flow. That's the kind of confidence that can't be shaken by rejection, by opinions, or by obstacles. Inspiration is borrowed energy. Consistency is owned energy. When you build consistent habits, you don't have to wait for a muse to strike. You become your own source. And that's where true freedom is. Not in doing only when you feel like it, but in creating because you chose to. You're no longer led by fleeting moods. You're led by your commitment to create. You're driven by the commitment to your craft. So if you want to change your creative life, stop asking, how do I stay inspired? Start asking, how do I stay consistent? The answer is simple. Build habits. And habits are built in the small moments. The sketch you finish when you wanted to quit. The page you write instead of scrolling. The tune you record before bed. Every small act of creativity is a brushstroke. Stack enough of them, and you'll paint a body of work no storm can erase. Every single day, you are either directing your imagination or giving it away. There is no in-between. You either wake up and take command of your time, your focus, your energy, or the noise of the world will steal it before you even open your notebook. Ideas aren't waiting for you to get intentional. Distractions are already lined up. Notifications are already knocking. If you don't set the tone, something else will. That's why the morning is not just part of your day. It's the stage for your creativity. The moment you open your eyes, you're in a battle. Not with the world, but with your own habits, your own impulses, your own drift toward distraction. You have to decide, will I create or will I consume? Because if you don't have a plan, you'll become part of someone else's. Your inbox becomes your sketchbook. Your feed becomes your canvas. Your stress becomes your schedule. That's not art. That's surrender. And people who surrender to chaos rarely create anything timeless. Commanding your creative day doesn't mean forcing yourself into endless hustle. It means owning your first moments with clarity and flow. It's about setting a rhythm that gives you control. It's about choosing to begin with imagination before interruption. When you wake up and immediately scroll social media, you're letting the outside world shape your inner vision. But when you begin with silence, with structure, with sovereignty, you reclaim the spark most people give away before breakfast. The truth is, there are only two types of creators in this world. Those who direct their mornings and those who drift through them. The directors live by design. The drifters live by default. And if you're not careful, you'll confuse busyness with artistry. You'll mistake motion for creation. But motion without intention is just burnout in disguise. That's why your morning matters. That's why taking command of your art time is non-negotiable. When you claim the morning, you don't just create more, you create better. You're not chasing tasks, you're chasing expression. You're not reacting to noise, you're making something new. And that creation begins the moment you decide to lead yourself before you try to lead others. So here's the challenge. Before the world gets access to you, give access to yourself. Before the emails, give access to yourself. The opinions, the noise, you connect with your vision. You review your projects. You feed your imagination. You align with your craft. Because the artist who commands their morning doesn't need to chase inspiration all day. Inspiration begins to chase them. Let the world follow its chaos. You move with rhythm. You move with flow. Because once you take control of your mornings, the rest of your day falls in tune. And that's the power of living by design, not by distraction. A creative routine is more than just a checklist. It's a rhythm. And rhythm is the language of genius. Just like music only moves when it follows a beat, creativity flows best when it follows intentional patterns. You can work late, you can grind hard, you can stay up chasing deadlines. But without rhythm, you'll burn out instead of break through. A routine gives your creativity that steady, repeatable flow that leads to inevitable growth. It's the difference between chaos and clarity. See, people think routines trap artists, that they box you in and steal your freedom. But that's backwards. Lack of structure is what keeps creativity stuck. When you have no rhythm, you waste energy figuring out where to start. But when you have flow, your art becomes automatic and your focus becomes fierce. You stop negotiating with yourself about whether to show up. You just show up. And when you show up consistently, inspiration stops being an accident. It becomes inevitable. Everything in nature creates through rhythm. The tides, the seasons, the sunrise. And when your creativity is out of rhythm, you feel it. You feel scattered. You feel blocked. You feel stuck. But when your routine aligns with your vision, your art begins to move in harmony. You're not just productive. You're in flow. You're not just making things, you're making meaning. And that's when momentum arrives. Because results don't come from what you create once in a while. They come from what you create consistently, even when no one's watching. Rhythms make the hard parts lighter. They lift the mental weight of decision fatigue. Instead of waking up wondering, what should I work on today? You already know. You've rehearsed it. You've committed to it. You've built it into your system. And when creativity is part of your system, it no longer depends on your mood. Your habits carry you even when inspiration doesn't. Most artists don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack rhythm. They start and stop, create in bursts, then vanish. But true power comes when your art becomes a drumbeat, steady and strong, a rhythm that keeps you moving forward, even when progress feels slow. Because here's the secret: slow, steady creation will always beat short bursts of genius that disappear. Your routine is the conductor of your art. If you set the tempo right, everything else falls in sync. Your energy, your projects, your opportunities. You become more focused, more grounded, more unstoppable. So don't just chase masterpieces. Build the rhythm that produces them. Master the routine, and the results will come chasing you. Every powerful creative morning rests on 3 pillars: mindset, movement, and making. These aren't just tasks. They're the dimensions of your creativity. If you want to win the day, you've got to align your mind, activate your body, and practice your craft. Touch all 3, and you don't just wake up, you rise. You don't just prepare to create, you position yourself to overflow with ideas. First, mindset. Before anything else, you've got to shape your thoughts, because your mind is the canvas of your imagination. And if you leave it unattended, it will default to doubt, fear, or distraction. That's why your morning has to start with intention. Feed your imagination. Affirm your creativity. Rehearse your vision. Picture the work you want to bring to life, because what you focus on in the morning expands throughout the day. Gratitude, affirmations, visualization, even meditation, these aren't fluff, they're fuel. They reset your creative compass and point you toward possibility. Then comes movement. You've got to wake up your body. You've got to send a signal that it's time to show up. Movement generates energy. It shakes off the fog, clears the excuses, and opens the channels for flow. Whether it's stretching, a walk, dancing to music, or just 10 minutes of breathing and motion, movement flips the switch. And when your body is active, your imagination fires, your focus sharpens, your emotions steady. You weren't made to sit still. Movement is momentum in physical form. Finally, making. And this is the difference maker. A routine without creating is just maintenance. But when you commit each morning to your craft, sketching, writing, composing, building ideas, you don't just keep up, you grow. Write the page, play the chords, draft the design, record the thought. Just 15 or 30 minutes of focused practice each morning becomes hours of transformation over time. The creator who makes daily outpaces the one who waits for rare bursts. Craft compounds, and the morning is the best time to invest in it. When you combine mindset, movement, and making, something powerful happens. You become unstoppable. You're mentally primed, physically alive, and creatively flowing. You've already won before the world even wakes up. You don't start on defense. You step in with offense, with direction, with flow. This trifecta is how you build a launch pad, not just a landing strip. Your morning becomes the platform that propels your art forward. Because when your mind is aligned, your body is activated, and your craft is sharpened, you stop chasing creativity. You start living it. Repetition is the architect of artistry. What you create consistently isn't just shaping your portfolio, it's shaping you. Every time you wake up and make a choice, every sketch you finish, every note you play, every draft you complete without negotiation, you're casting a vote for the kind of artist you're becoming. You don't become creative by only reading about creativity. You become creative by repeating the creative act until it's no longer what you do, it's who you are. The most powerful transformation doesn't happen in sudden bursts of inspiration. It happens through steady practice. You become what you rehearse. If you keep telling yourself, "I'm not a morning person," then you'll never be. If you repeat procrastination, you reinforce hesitation. But if you repeat expression, even in small ways, you reinforce identity. That's why the little creative acts matter so much. The way you journal your ideas, the way you set up your tools, the way you honor your creative time, all of it is forming a pattern. And that pattern is either freeing you or limiting you. Most people underestimate the power of small creative habits. They think masterpieces are born in lightning bolts of genius. But the truth is, they're shaped in quiet repetition. The early mornings, the rough drafts, the extra sketches, the books studied instead of the show binged. That's where artistry is born. Your destiny as a creator isn't built in a single moment. It's built in a rhythm, and that rhythm is shaped by what you repeat. You want to change your creative life? Change what you do consistently. Start with the small things. Because if you can't be trusted with the small, you'll never be entrusted with the big. And when you commit to your process, even when no one claps, even when you don't see results right away, you're aligning your craft with your future. You're building integrity with yourself. You're stacking momentum. And one day you'll look up and realize the artist you dreamed of being, you've become them. Not through a flash of inspiration, but through a steady current of creation. And this is why habits matter. They're not just actions, they're identity systems. Every morning you choose your craft instead of distraction. Every time you practice when you'd rather procrastinate. Every promise you keep to yourself. You're reinforcing a belief. This is who I am now. And once your identity shifts, your results follow. So stop trying to change your art with willpower alone. Start building the identity of the artist who already lives the creative life you want. Ask yourself, what would a focused, inspired, consistent version of me do each morning? Then, don't just do it once. Do it every day. Because what you repeat, you become. And when your actions align with your vision consistently enough, your reality has no choice but to catch up. The truth is simple, but it isn't easy. Your creative future is being shaped every morning, whether you realize it or not. Each day begins with a choice, to create with intention or to drift into distraction. And the artists who rise, who thrive, who leave behind timeless work, they're not waiting for motivation. They're not hoping for a muse. They command their mornings. They choose consistency over comfort. They understand that routines create rhythms. Rhythms create results. And what they repeat, they inevitably become. If you want to change your creative life, stop waiting for the breakthrough and start building the habits. Wake up with purpose. Feed your imagination before the world intrudes. Move your body to awaken your flow. Sharpen your craft to expand your gift. Stack those creative wins early, and you'll carry momentum into everything you do. The morning is not just a part of your day. It's the foundation of your art. It's a covenant you make with the version of yourself you're becoming. So decide today that you won't live by distraction. You'll create by design. Because when you master your mornings, you don't just change your schedule, you change your standard. And when your standard rises, so does your art. Own the morning, and you'll own the rest of your creative life.